The critical detail which undoubtedly betrays the funeral song mass is still visible in our days in the center itself of the canvas. This new Veronese artifice consists in 4 fingers peeping beside the cornetist's back, which do not belong to any character in the current canvas. The spine of the score, which was read by the vocal quartet, can be alike appreciated, sustained by one of the 2 cantadori di morti. The second monk's capline behind him is currently the Jesus Christ sleeve. We think that Veronese recovered this key in the final design because he could conceive them as he did with the score. However, he left them incongruently visible. We have proposed the intentional negligence as suggested by Vasari to leave some elements unfinished with perceptive effects intentions. The only authors who referred to and described the X-ray images of the canvas are Lola Faillan-Dumas and Peter Bassano, a descendant from the Venetian Bassano's musician family. Faillan-Dumas was the author of the chapter devoted to analyze these images in the magnificent book edited by Louvre Museum in 1992. She described many altered elements in the underlying designs, however not in an articulate way, because at this moment there was not a coherent model like this we are introducing here. There are any other publications on our topic. Giorgione's loot box is exactly the hand of the current servant in between Jesus Christ and Mary, a hand which operates anything. It's just perched without apparent function. We have chosen the negative of the X-rays because it's better definition for the Giorgione lute spec box and neck. Oh, excuse me. This is the superposition on top of our designs, obtained from the X-ray images published in 1992. At this point, we can already show the whole composition, except Benedetto Cagliari's engaging. The blue lute limit on the keyboard box is our license. The performer's left hand in green can be appreciated over the instrument in its correct position. This hand has established an artifact which led the expert to confession from its publication more than 30 years ago, because it looks like to be settled over the neck of a future tenor violin just before Ortiz's arrival to San Giorgio Maggiore. The incorporeal harpsichordist's the incorporeal harpsichordist's head and left hand, linked to who it was believed to be the current Paolo, however with crossed legs, generated an impossible and strongly leaned cyborg who produced any coherent, non-harmonious sound. The true current Paolo's hand can be appreciated at the top of the neck. He was the owner of this tenor violin before becoming finally a viola gambista. My partners will show you tomorrow both correct violin consorts. The final owners, both for the right clavecinist arm and his own body, will be shown later. In fact, this art is the bridge room arm, Alfonso de Avalos. Let us to observe the same elements over the X-ray images, also in a negative. Titian was primarily jester, the current orange buffoon, while Tintoretto occupied exactly the space in between his partner and the monk who sustained the score. We have called Paolo one Frankenstein to this former Paolo, because his dismantling, alike that of his successor Paolo II, also Frankenstein, generated different characters and words, as we will show in some minutes, and again during our next presentation. Our generation of the standing silent lute, which rests on the keyboard box, can be observed in the foreground. It has its square angle back box behind the current score over the table, facing Veronese. This is our license. It's easy to appreciate lute form designs for the configuration of the other dog. Our model postulates that the guest's frontal table must have descended as a consequence of the former required changes of design, allowing the Cagliari brothers to escape of future complications. It means the dismantling of the original consort. We think that pilasters of the balustrade and the hollows in between them were both intended to be the convertible template for many of the guests' portraits through slight displacements of their respective contours. We have duplicated over in blue the contour of the current guests in red. The upper balcony, with a lutenist and perhaps some singers, descended in a body equally at these former moments. We think it happened concomitant with the disappearance of the first consort, because its wall design was already completed. As the authors Juan and Giorgione himself did. As we have already suggested, it is possible that they could be lutes in echo for the funeral mass. The descent of balcony is exactly the height of balustrade, and equally the exact distance between balustrade and the current frontal table. In the canvas sketch from Louvre Museum, coming from Veronese's Bottega, it can be appreciated how the location of guests for this table, the central table, was planned directly over the balustrade. The global design of the canvas has two different vanishing points, one for the ascending lines and another one for the descending building's cornices. The layout of the table lines shows how the current central table has both an incoherent perspective and an inadequate surface to contain any dish nor delicacy. It shows alike how the central table must be placed in origin as depicted in the Louvre sketch. The global design of the canvas we are showing the wall silhouette for the original consort. The molding of the current Paolo allows to observe the position of the harpsichord player, in addition to Benedetto Cagliari's right arm extended over the harpsichord. This was the link between music and painting during the first consort, when his left arm was painting the previous modello in face of Benedictines, as we will show in the next section. The protagonist of the Sang Mass was in fact Giorgione. However, Veronese portrayed him inverted from his two known self-portraits. In our opinion, Paolo used that from Brunswick Museum, as it was a Grimani property, the family who protected Giorgione at life. We are showing the superposition, We are showing the superposition of our own designs obtained from the radiographies on top of the quoted self-portrait, now inverted. According to Vasari, this self-portrait was displayed in the Grimani's art gallery in the times of the wedding. We have not a convincing hypothesis for the disappearance of harpsichord and the vocal quartet dispersion, because the central scene must be accorded with the onus of commission already at the beginnings. Just the audacious idiosyncratic Veronese maniera, that of a consummate maestro in the technique of mixturing sacred and profane, as he showed again, including a mass for the dead in the middle of a nuptial banquet. Perhaps in addition to the inconvenience of 4 active singers in a refectory where talking was forbidden. However, it is doubtless that the alluded to events accelerated relevant changes affecting what happened later, as we will show in a moment. After 4 mutations of the central musical ensemble, Giorgione finally remained hidden again, buried for a second time, behind the face of the new guest who arrived to San Giorgio Maggiore at the end of summer in 1563, the maestro de capilla of Neapolitan court, Diego Ortiz, whose ultimate facial silhouette is shown in pink to the left. So, this was the painter's second death.